What's up, guys? Welcome to the weekly What's Up with Wigwam. I am, of course, your host with Wigwam, and today we're taking a second shot at this whole tabletop simulator video. This time, I'm actually gonna make a video with recommendations instead of a dumb, silly video for my followers that the tabletop simulator community as a whole will probably hate. This one they'll probably at least mildly enjoy. Play the intro. So I figured, you know what, I could make a video with actual recommendations. Casual games, cooperative games, competitive games, games you might not have heard of, games you may have heard of but just need a really good version to play on Tabletop Simulator. So to all the people who watched the last video but didn't like it, here are some real, genuine suggestions of Tabletop Simulator Workshop games that you would probably enjoy, with links down below in the description to download each workshop title that is covered by me in this video. Let's start with what will probably be the most popular category, best casual games. These are games that are easy to play with people who aren't as hardcore into board games as maybe some of us other board game nerds are, like me and probably you if you're watching this video. But these games are fun, casual, anyone can pick them up. You can play them with your parents, your mom, whoever. Let's get into them. First of all, you gotta have Uno. I love Uno on Tabletop Simulator. I actually prefer it to Uno on the like Xbox app, the official Uno app. And while the official Uno app is nice and you can play with silly rules like zeros and sevens, the thing that really gives this Uno the competitive edge to me is that Uno on Tabletop Simulator offers multiple players beyond 4. If you have more than 4 people, you can actually play Uno, which I never understood why Uno Online was like, 4 is the maximum people allowed to play Uno, and if you don't follow that rule, I swear to God, I'll take your Uno away. Uno's really strict about this for some reason. So, Tabletop Simulator offers a huge variety of Unos. It's probably the most popular game on Tabletop Simulator. I'm gonna include the link down below for the one that I found to be the most useful. It's well scripted, it's easy to draw 2, draw 4, draw 1, reset, start the game. Everything is very, very automated and scripted. You can be a total moron. It takes like 2 buttons and you get this game started with up to like 8 players or 10, or I forget the exact number, but it's more than 4. That's pretty good. Another great casual game that a lot of you may enjoy is Exploding Kittens. If you haven't played Exploding Kittens, it's this fun, super easy to catch on to game from the creator of the Oatmeal. I think pretty much anybody could learn it in a single playthrough or just by a brief description, so let me give you a brief description. What's the goal? The goal is simple. Don't draw an exploding kitten and die. Alright, if you draw an exploding kitten, you all start with exactly 1 defuse in your hand, which you can use as a kind of get out of jail free card. You also put any additional leftover defuse cards back in the deck, so there's a couple of extra ones in there that you can draw. Apart from that, it's very simple. You just do what the card tells you to do. You can look at the next couple cards on top of the deck, you can shuffle the deck, you can steal cards from players, you can attack players. Everything is written out very simply on the card. The strategy is simple, but there is some strategy to it. And again, the most important thing is that it's fun, it's easy to pick up, and it's very casual, and I think pretty much all players enjoy Exploding Kittens to some degree. And then, of course, there is the most popular casual game of pretty much all time among young adults and older adults and adults in general. Cards Against Humanity. Again, everybody pretty much knows how to play Cards Against Humanity, and if you don't, this is not really the video to teach you how to do it, but this is the video to give you an incredibly well-scripted version of it to play on Tabletop Simulator. This is by and far the best version of Cards Against Humanity I've ever played on Tabletop Simulator, and since Cards Against Humanity, for whatever reason, lacks an actual online game that you can play with your friends, such as Uno or other basic board games have, this is pretty much the best way to play Cards Against Humanity with your friends online. That's pretty much going to do it for all the casual games I'm going to cover. This is a great starting point for games you might want to play while you're having a night on Discord, drinking with friends, you know, just not looking to compete, just looking to kill some time with some other players. Now let's get into some other games though. Let's say maybe you're like me and one of your favorite genres of game to play with your friends is a secret identity style game. Think Secret Hitler. Now a lot of people know and love Secret Hitler, but I'm here to tell you that Secret Hitler is not the best secret identity game, at least in my opinion, by a lot. The actual best secret identity game would go to the Resistance / Avalon, which is also like basically the same thing as Resistance but more complicated. So we're basically just gonna focus on the Resistance here real quick. The Resistance pits 2 teams against each other, but only the bad guys know who the other bad guys are. Good guys are left completely blind. They have no idea who's who. The goal is pretty simple. The bad guys must flunk 3 out of 5 missions. The good guys must prevent this from happening. And it works out similar to Secret Hitler. You start by choosing a couple of people to go on a mission. Everybody at the table says, yes, I approve of these people on the mission, or no, I don't approve of these people on the mission. So the whole real point of the game is, if you're a bad guy, to seem like a good guy, to go on the missions, to tank the missions, and if you're a good guy, to figure out who the bad guys are and not send them on those missions. It seems simple. It is fairly easy to pick up. Usually 1 round into the game, everybody feels like they've pretty much mastered the rules, but the lying, the trickery, the illusions, all of that stuff is what really makes this game so fun to me. It's a game that gets everybody talking, maybe gets everybody arguing, but, you know, in a fun way. As long as your friends can handle that, because not everybody's can, to be fair. But for my money, it's by far the best secret identity game, because there's very little chance to it. It all comes down to people's strategy, their lies, what they say. There's no like random RNG elements to it. Like, I know there's a little bit of that in Secret Hitler with the way you vote on diplomacy or whatever. This one is very straightforward. It just really comes down to, were you able to assess who was the bad guys and who worked? And another reason I love this game so much is because if you play the Resistance a couple of times with the same people and you want to escalate it, there's always Avalon, which is basically the same game but with added roles, special abilities, just a couple of additional rules to keep things a little bit on the spicy side for some of the more experienced players. But start with the Resistance, move on to Avalon if you feel like it. Either way, if you're into games like Secret Hitler, this is a must play. This is probably my favorite board game of all time. Alright, now let's move on to a game that's kind of like a role-playing light game. You know, not in like a scary way, because some people are very frightened off by those phrases, but it's called Betrayal at the House on the Hill. And now most board game fans are gonna know this game, but here's again, you know, down below in the description, a link to a great version of it on Tabletop Simulator. For those of you that don't know this game, it's very easy to play. Gameplay is pretty simple. You and your group of explorers wander around this mansion, flipping over cards, building up 3 separate floors. You have a basement, a ground floor, and an attic. You guys can split up, explore all over, uncover new rooms, get items as you explore, and then eventually you trigger haunt cards. And every time you trigger a haunt card, you take a nice dice roll, and eventually someone will trigger the haunt. And what's the haunt, you ask? Well, obviously I'm going to get to that. That's like a crucial part of all gameplay. It's clearly about to come up. Maybe you should stop asking questions and let me explain the game before you start interrupting me. The haunt is the main piece of gameplay. I think there's about 50 total haunts in this game. I've played this game countless times and I've never even repeated a haunt, but even if I had, every haunt is individually fun. Every single time you play this game, you end up with a different set of win conditions for the back half of the game. After exploring out the mansion, or the house on the hill, someone will betray you. Eventually, somebody will become some sort of enemy villain. The betrayer gets given a separate booklet for whatever haunt they get, and they get told, these are my powers, this is my objective, and this is how I'm gonna fuck over everybody that was once my friend. Meanwhile, all the people on the surviving team get a different booklet, and they get told their objective to defeat the betrayer, and then it becomes usually, typically, but not always, a 1 versus X other number of players. Sometimes it's the whole group versus the game. Sometimes it's a bunch of people versus a couple people. But that's part of the fun, is it's always different. The objectives are always different. The game's always different. And it's always very, very exciting. For my money, no other board game really has this level of variety. And no other board game has this level of like replayability. You really want to play it and play it and play it and get all these different haunts. So yeah, I would say give it a shot. It's a great, super fun game. You're really gonna enjoy it. So maybe you're looking for something a little different, a little something new. There's one that I think not so many people have played before, which is The Binding of Isaac 4 Souls. Now you may have seen this game, been like, I don't like The Binding of Isaac, or I don't know about The Binding of Isaac. Either way, I don't want to play a Binding of Isaac based board game that's some cheap video game cash-in for more money. Well, it's not. I'm very happy to say that The Binding of Isaac 4 Souls is a game worth giving a try, even if you have no interest in The Binding of Isaac, but I should warn you, it is a game that contains many gross out humor enemies, poop, barf, you know, dead babies, a lot of blasphemy. If these things turn you off, you're gonna want to steer clear. but if you don't really care about those things, like, you know, I don't, you're gonna really enjoy this game. The Binding of Isaac is a great game, like I said, regardless of whether you have experience with the game or not. I've played the game with many people who have never played the Binding of Isaac, and they really, really enjoy the game regardless of that fact, alright? It does not require that knowledge to play at all. Basically, in the Binding of Isaac 4 Souls, you start with a character. Each character starts with a starting item, and then you get given a couple of starting cards, coins, basic things, but it's off to the races. The point of the game is fairly simple. You want to collect 4 souls. You get souls by completing a few specific goals, like be the first one to 25 coins, be the first one to 10 cards in your hands, etc. But the main bulk of how you'll get souls will be by defeating bosses, who are usually worth 1 soul, sometimes worth 2 souls if they're particularly difficult. Combat is fun and easy in this game, and the real selling point of this game is the same really major selling point of the Binding of Isaac, which is it has a incredibly huge amount of items with individual effects that impact gameplay. So every time you play the game, no matter who your character is, you end up buying and or winning items through combat that are just amazing items with different effects, and you build these synergies. This item works with this other item in this weird way, and then I'm manipulating this to get a win or get this soul or beat this boss, or steal cards from enemies or whatever. There's literally a near infinite amount of possibilities based on how many cards are in this game and how they interact with each other. Much like the real Binding of Isaac, it's very RNG based, which I don't think is a bad thing myself, but some people I know aren't such a fan, so you've been warned. But some runs you will be an overpowered god, other runs you will be an underpowered little dumb baby, and in the middle many of the times it's just you and your strategy trying to build the best run possible with what you're given in your hand and the items that you're able to acquire, and it's a lot of fun. You know, if nothing else, it's worth playing a few times just to see what kind of crazy item synergies you can build up from run to run. Alright, how about a quick one? Let's throw out best drinking game. If you were an adult and you want to get on Tabletop Simulator and have a little drinking night, there are a couple of fun drinking games on there. For my money, my favorite is the Pokemon drinking board game. It's a game I actually have been playing with my friends off and on since we were wee lads back in college years and years ago. We even made our own super large version of it. But this is one available on Tabletop Simulator. It's very casual, it's very easy, and I think if you are a person that likes to drink, it's a good amount of drinking for a single drinking board game. I think with most drinking games, at least as maybe you get a little older, the goal was not to get completely destroyed, but to maybe just get buzzed a little bit. So if you are of legal age, only legal age, don't let me, if I catch anybody under 21 download this game, you are in so much trouble, Mr. and or Mrs. Anyways, it's a fun game, it's casual, you'll get a nice buzz on you, usually finish about maybe 2 drinks across the course of one game, so give it a shot. If you like Pokemon, you were looking for a fun, casual drinking game to play with friends on a Friday night, this is my favorite one. Alright, how about best team games? You got a couple of friends together, you want to do a little 1 team versus 2 teams? I've got 2 for you. The probably better one is Codenames. Codenames is a game where you lay out a board filled with words in front of you. It's a 5x5 board of words, and then each team has 1 clue master. The clue masters get to see a secret little card that tells them what words belong to the red team, what words belong to the blue team, which words are neutral, and which word is the assassin word that will instantly lose the game if you pick it. Now all you have to do is the Codemaster gives you a word, such as let's say tree, and then a number, like let's say 3, so then you look at your little board of 25 cards and you pick 3 words there that you think most directly relate to that word, and that's all you do. Try not to pick the assassin's card. It's easy to pick up, hard to master, challenging but fun, and I always enjoy it. I've been playing Codenames on and off the computer for like a long time, 5 years, longer, who knows. I own like 2 versions of the game in actual physical copy though. It's a super fun game. Alright, how about a Clue style game? You want a game like Clue, but maybe more for adults? There's a game called Meisterium. It's pretty easy and it's very Clue-like. Each player at the table is given a person, murder weapon, and a location, and then one person, who is the silent ghost of the game, knows who everybody's character combinations are. They must hand out these incredibly cryptic, abstract pictures to the players to give them clues as to first who is their person, and then you move on to a separate round for who was their place, and then you move on to a final round for who is their weapon, and the goal is to figure all that out under a certain number of turn limits for everybody. It is a cooperative game, so technically everybody is supposed to win or everybody loses, but it's very, very fun. It's like Clue that'll really make you scratch your head, get very symbolic, get kind of weird and out there, have some very odd tangents of thought. And that's what I really appreciate about this game. I think it's super fun, and there's a great scripted version of it on Tabletop Simulator, so I had to throw it out there. It's a super fun game. And that's pretty much gonna do it. I'm also gonna include like maybe a Kitten that's really good. I'm not gonna cover Kitten because I feel like most board game people already know what that game is, but I'm gonna put a link down for my favorite one in the description, as well as, you know, if there were any other games I found or thought of after recording, I'll include those too. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video at least a little more than the last one if you were genuinely looking for Tabletop Simulator suggestions. As far as the last video, I'll literally never apologize. That video was dumb, silly, and I had fun making it, and if you hated it, don't care. Really don't care. But I hope you enjoyed this one. Regardless, if you did enjoy it, consider leaving a like. If you like me as a presenter of a video, wish there was a word for that like host, but there's not. You know, consider subscribing for more content, or if you want to watch me stream, I stream on Twitch like 6 days a week. As always, I've been your host with Wigwam. I love your beautiful faces, and I hope you have a fantastic week until the next weekly What's Up, because you deserve it, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye-bye. I didn't go very far. There we go.